Hi everyone, Teri Wellbrock here. Just a quick message before today's show. I talk about in this upcoming amazing, beautiful, wonderful episode about my mom and her healing journey near the end of this interview, this conversation, and how she'd been living sober for, going in her fourth year with one fall off the wagon. Well, it's come to our realization since she's been diagnosed with liver cancer and cirrhosis of the liver that she has decided that her end of life is going to go back with a final hurrah in this addiction journey, and unfortunately has chosen the route of diving back into bottles of booze. So I appreciate any prayers you can send her way and positive energy as she travels this journey. I have to remind myself that it is her journey. My role is throughout my childhood was to be peacekeeper and learned how to take on that savior role, go in and save the day and clean up the mess that she would leave. But I don't do that anymore. And I've done a lot of work on healing that codependent role that I had with her for so long. So it's hard to stand. I put a post out this morning on the Facebook Healing Place podcast Facebook page, but I said I stand on the shore watching her drown as she begs for a bottle of Jack Daniels to be thrown at her instead of a life vest. And it's difficult to stand there and watch, but I can't go in the water and try to pull her out because she doesn't want to be saved. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that for anyone who's on the Facebook page and said, hey, she was just talking about her mom's addiction this morning, and then in this episode, that's because this episode was recorded a couple weeks ago. So anyway, there you go. So again, I appreciate the positive energy you send my mom's way, and any prayers you can offer up for her. All right, enjoy today's amazing, wonderful, beautiful, fantastic show. Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. I'm your host, Teri Wellbrock, and another exciting edition of the Healers of Hilton Head series. I have Laura Shofroth with me today, and she is a motivational health consultant and founder at The Miracle of You, and she's going to help us understand all the beautiful, wonderful healing work she's doing here on Hilton Head Island. So welcome, Laura.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and just have a little chat with you. I am the founder of The Miracle of You. I started my company in 2009, actually, just because I had found a love for holistic healing after almost succumbing to what the doctors addressed with me as an incurable disease. And so when they offered no hope for me, I became a little rebel and started doing research and found out a whole bunch of other truths, and I ran with it. And yes, I did heal myself. And I wanted to take that information and give it back to people. People need to know these things.
Yes. Oh, I told you right before we hit record, I popped on your Facebook page and saw that half an hour ago or so you posted about fasting, and I had just done it's such a similar journey in that
Mhm.
uh, I just wasn't getting answers from Western medicine, and just decided to take it into my own hands and really research, and just did a ton of research and started on a holistic path of healing myself. Was my mission. So gosh, I love those kinds of connections. But yeah, I just did a fast, and I felt it kickstart my body exactly like was hoping and praying it would do. So wonderful.
Well, congratulations for taking your power back. That's number one, and that's what I love to show people that they can do. And number two, being intuitive enough to feel that your body did the reboot, and you can feel like I call it the neutrality of doing a fast and allow your body to do what it already does naturally. It's so beautiful once we step back and kind of become more aware.
Yes. And that's a really great point, Laura, is because I think for so long, and I think so many of us thought, oh, we'll go to the doctor, they'll give us this pill, or they'll tell us how to do this or how to do that, change our diet, don't eat salt, don't eat sugar, or whatever it may be. And that's going to fix the problem. When you just brought up such a valid point, if we just make healthy shifts and
Mhm,
create healthy
mhm,
habits,
mhm.
that we allow our body to do what it wants to do, which is
It's
be in
true.
harmony and healthy.
Yeah, it wants to. Our body is always, always communicating with us minute by minute. That's why muscle testing works so good. And I call it when we don't know at first that there's another way besides conventional medicine, that there might be natural ways of healing through fasting or SEACT or any of these different modalities. I almost think of it as we're unconscious. We fall asleep to ourselves. And so once we become conscious and more aware and we wake up, we can then be more open to, well, hey, maybe I should look into this. Has there a cure ever been found for MS, or have people been able to heal themselves from an incurable disease? And so right then is the switch you were just talking about. Right then we become awake and conscious, and our body's like, hey, listen to me, I got something to tell you.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And a little PS, and I don't know what your thoughts are on it. I've been doing some brain rewiring and brain plasticity meditations, and our we can change those old ruts in the brain, right? The habits that we created by allowing ourselves to create these new patterns.
Oh my goodness, such a topic that I love.
Oh,
And so
yay.
I think my clients have no idea at first when they do a consultation with me that I'm going to talk about meditation. Meditation, I ran from it. I, like most other people, like, but I have monkey brain. It won't settle down. But something kept calling me to keep committing to it. And once I committed to it and kept doing the research, I mean, I was hearing of people healing spontaneously from all these different bodily imbalances. And yes, neuroplasticity and expanding their consciousness and their mind. So I was like, what? There's got to be something to this. So once I started committing to it and started doing the breath work with it, amazing things started happening, and I attribute much of the amazing my spiritual awakening that I had almost 2 years ago now. That experience, I believe, was brought on by meditation and breath work. So anytime, and again, it's just another way of becoming more conscious of ourselves. Like we're asleep and unconscious to ourselves until we become more self-aware. And what better way to do that than through meditation? And unfortunately, in Western society, we're not taught that, though it's common in other countries. It's just a way of life. And so I am embarking on that mission to normalize it, to make it part of our day. And I teach my clients every morning, I want you to do this because it's for you.
Yes.
So,
And our brain listens to our
yes,
what when we're just allowing it to just calm and be, even when you're sick. I mean, when
yeah,
you're struggling with something, if you can go through that practice of the breath work and the calming, then the body's saying, oh, maybe we're not in so much danger, and then the
right.
system isn't going, ah.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's so much to that too, is part of that is not fighting the body, not fighting the disease, or I don't even like to call it a disease, but the imbalance. When we stop fighting it and accept ourselves for where we are, in whatever imbalance we are, then the clarity and the answers and the insight can start coming. And meditation's such a beautiful way to allow that to happen. And even if you follow me on Facebook and the articles I write, I always meditate and gain my insight and say, okay, what am I going to write about today? And the answers just come. Like, I don't even have to work for it. Hello. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to talk about fasting today. Thanks.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I so do the same thing. I call it angel whispers. I don't know, like I
Yeah.
feel the little tap on the shoulder, and
Yeah.
yes, right from the heart and the soul. So I love
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful. So can you talk to us about this experience, this transition that you had 2 years ago?
Sure. So you and I talked a little bit before the show. I believe we have similar paths. I had a lot of trauma in my life, a lot. I mean, I feel like I had more than the average person by far, you know. But I never, I was still a happy, joyous person. But my healing path started with my physical healing of my own incurable disease and all these other things that were wrong with me in my early 30s. And that slowly progressed into an awareness of epigenetics and how our cells listen to our thoughts and neuroplasticity in our mind and all of these things. And I began to introduce meditation, as I said, into my practice every single morning. And at the shallowest point, I realized it would change my day for the better because I wouldn't then want to, flip somebody off when they cut me off in traffic. I was like, oh, I'm such a calmer person. Somewhere along the line, I began to realize I had a lot of trauma that could be released, and meditation may be the way. So I began doing even deeper research and found out about breath work. So, first diaphragmatic breathing, and then somatic breathing, and then some other techniques that I began to marry into my meditation. And how, bless you, and how it started was I would be sitting in the living room and I would feel this tingling in my body. And I'd be like, what is this? Like, okay, is this like a new disease I have to wrestle with? I'm perfectly healthy. I run, I do yoga. And it would start in the limbs of my body, and it was pleasant. It was beautiful. There was no fear. It was exciting. As the months waned on, the electrical feelings, as I called them, got stronger and stronger. I continued my breath work, and my meditations got deeper and more peaceful. I just started getting a little bit more out of what I was looking for, I guess. And I wrote my testimony as such. I woke up one morning, it was 5:30 in the morning, and I was laying fetal position, and all of a sudden I felt the largest amount of electrical energy start at the base of my spine and go up my spine slowly, like as if it were zipping me up to the base of my neck. It was beautiful, undescribable. I'm thinking to myself, this is the craziest thing ever, yet I'm enjoying it. It's beautiful. It's not anything I've ever heard of, but there was no fear. After that, I laid my head down and I kind of fell gently back to sleep. It was the most peaceful, blissful few moments I've ever had in my entire life. After that experience, I'm like, okay, what the hell just happened? Later that day, I'm like, oh my God, what was that? So I did research there. I got a lot of feedback on some Facebook pages and research that it was called a Kundalini awakening. And so I did a lot of research with that, and it was quite the experience. For about 8 months, I lived in bliss. I thought I was the most exceptional human being in the world. It was hilarious. I thought I was so special. And then I realized, oh my gosh, every trauma I ever went through in in my whole life that I thought I had healed from came rushing back to be met, to be finally healed the right way. So then, after 8 months of beautiful bliss, joy, and wonderment, I went into the dark night of the soul, and it was difficult. It was hard. I would meditate 6 times a day to get through it. I would be angry. I had to go kind of not relive it so much, but feel it. And through the whole time, indeed, I was like, why? Why am I having to relive? There's a lot of not much understanding from me until I could look back on the whole culmination of the almost 2 years ago and see I was healing. And I was healing in not only physical ways. My right lung had collapsed in my 20s, and I would sometimes have chronic pain there. It's gone. I've been healed from that. But from traumas that happened to me since I was a baby, all came rushing back, and I've been able to heal from that. And let me just add, as I summarize that all together, to say the healing journey is forever. It's never done. So I always say I'm a work in progress, but I do live 24/7 in an electrified, very high frequency now. So the electrical sensations never leave me. It's very interesting place to be.
Wow. There's a part of me that's a tad envious because I'm like, oh, I'm ready. Let's do it. I want to experience it. I want to feel it.
Yeah, and everybody, I mean, it's the Kundalini energy or the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to talk, we many different names from indigenous countries, and we all have a different name for it, but it lies in everybody. We all have access to this, and it takes us back again to the very beginning of this interview, becoming self-aware, waking up, becoming conscious. Where are we? And a willingness to heal, because it's bravery. It's, as you know, you've
Yes.
done a lot of trauma work. It's courage. It's fighting and nail biting and white knuckles. Like, I don't want to feel that anymore. I don't want to go back through that pain. And being the brave one to say, I'm a pioneer. I can do
Yes.
this.
Well, and so fascinating because, and I've said this for years, when we would do EMDR therapy, the right part of my head would just tingle with electricity. Like I could
Yeah, that's
feel it happening, like almost, and sometimes I would say, I feel like someone, like an angel, like something has its hand on the top of my head, and I could just feel the electric pulses. And as you were talking, and right now I'm having that same sensation. So I just love it that I can, but I feel it in just this one particular spot. So it's
yes.
fascinating to me.
It is absolutely fascinating. Several of my clients have had a spiritual awakening just by talking to me via Zoom. I'm like, are you kidding? This could happen? Like, I didn't know it could happen.
Yeah.
But we share our frequencies. We are bioenergetic people. We're biomagnetic energies. And so clearly my energy just, flows out so freely, and people get the benefit if they typically my sessions are virtual, but if you get to be within my vicinity, sometimes you get the benefits of that frequency. But the beautiful thing is you can do that for other people too.
Yeah. I mean, we
So,
talk about energy so often on the show, and I just love the idea. I've said for years, the energy we put out into the universe is the energy we welcome back. And I
yeah.
tell my kids that all the time. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, I love the idea of being able to exchange energy. And on the other side of that coin is, if you're feeling a very negative energy, you have the opportunity then to put healthy boundaries up, to step
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. That's important too. Um, because I think when I was younger, I didn't know about energy. I just didn't. But we would have that gut feeling, or that feeling when you walk into a room and you feel icky, or you get around another person and you just get that icky feeling around them. And so being conscious of being in a relationship that robs us of our beautiful, like, this is such a gift to have our frequencies that, yes, we can control. But part of that is becoming aware, are other people robbing us of our joy? And it's real, it's true. Like, I lived years in a marriage where my joy was taken from me, and I wasn't strong enough in myself to understand it, or become conscious that I'm just unhappy every day. I no longer had a frequency that existed, probably, you know?
Yes.
So,
Well, you hear the
yeah.
term energy vampire, and I understand
Yes.
that now. And
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
It's
wow.
true. It's true.
So now, do you work with folks in a coaching capacity, like group coaching, one-on-one? And is it just local, or can people anywhere
I'm
connect?
all over. Yes, and I've had people across the ocean as well. So it's typically virtual. If somebody lives in my local area, I am more apt to meet them in person because I do love that energetic exchange, and I think it's so powerful to be in somebody's presence. But I would say 95% of my clients are virtual. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Again, I think there's COVID was tough on all of us on a trauma level for some
Yeah.
and or for many actually. And
Hmm.
but there's gifts within the chaos always. And
Always,
one of the
always.
gifts is this
Yeah.
ability now to connect globally with
It's
folks.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so many different things we can do virtually that we just didn't know. We had no idea.
Right,
So,
right. Oh my
yeah.
gosh, that's beautiful and
Hmm.
wonderful. So, any other, well, how did I want to say that? It was in my head and then it just went boop and popped out of my head. So, the miracle of you is there any other work that you do within that?
Yeah, typically, for many, many years, as we spoke earlier, I began doing nutritional consulting. So I take people from state steps for a 5 or 6 week program, typically to allow balance to come back in their body, and that begins with clean eating, detox, yummy green juices and smoothies, stress relief, how to not have stress anymore. Typically, it's 5 or 6 week program, depending on the individual. And I see anybody, like I said, with from acid reflux to stage 4 cancer, and I've had, great success all across that spectrum. I also introduce quantum healing or quantum physics into that because although we hear all the time the body and the mind are connected, I don't think a lot of people realize to what degree. So I help people rewire their minds and understand who they truly are. Our words matter, our thoughts matter, our cells are listening to our thoughts, and our bodies can change epigenetically from moment to moment to moment. And once people are like, oh my gosh, that it seems so easy to introduce like gratefulness and affirmations and visualization. But once we start doing this as a practice, wow, it's just mind blowing. So I incorporate a whole lot of different things into my program, and it's unique to each individual. I really allow spirit to work through me as I meet with each person to just allow that information to come through me fluidly.
Wow, I adore you. I just have to say because
Thank you.
I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so saying everything that I say and how I live, like living in
Yeah.
gratitude and just being in the now and doing all of the. I say, I after all those doctors, I told you I saw all these doctors and specialists and everybody trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and it was someone working in the nutrition field who I say saved my life because it was
Yeah.
shifting my eating habits and shifting. I'll now like this crazy rash that I'm getting over from mold toxicity. I will now like hold my legs were the worst. And so I'll like be in the bath and I'll like hold my leg up and I'm just like, I'll like touch my leg and I'll be like, I am so proud of you, skin. Like you're doing an amazing
Yes.
job. I've literally
Yeah.
like hugged my leg before and just
I
been like,
know.
I'm so proud of you. I know you're fighting. I know you're trying to figure this out. I've got you.
Yeah.
I'll support you. And it truly is like, just you're right. The words we use, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's so amazing that we're not taught that, to the extent that if we tell somebody, "Hey, go hug your leg," um, they're like, what do you, I mean, 20 years ago, I would have said, no, what are you, what, some kind of tree hugger is giving me some kind of weird information. I would never accept this. So, the science behind it proves it. So the
Yes.
minute, let's say you have a rash on your leg and you're frustrated with it and you're angry with it and you're just upset that you can't do the things that you want to do. Well, scientifically, our brain, when you think about that body part, our brain lights up that is correlated with that body part. And we send stress chemicals to that body part, which creates inflammation. So on a scientific level, and moving away from the woo-woo side, when we can send the chemicals of love and joy and inspiration and acceptance to that body part, now we can heal it. And that's factual. That's dated. That's I mean, documented. So
Yes. Oh, beautiful. I took a somatic healing course and I had just never understood the until I had gone through this course how powerful that was to be able to notice something without judging it. And
yes,
that's huge, and that's what I'm getting from you. But you're taking it even step further. It's not just not judging it, but then sending, because love to me, after a powerful meditation and experience, uh, I was given the message that love is the answer. Like love, that's what matters. That's
love
it.
is the answer. I mean, if you think about it fundamentally, right? Just fundamentally, if we can step back and just imagine the difference between one individual that's frustrated, bitter, and full of self-sabotage, anger, resentment, um, sickness, low vibration, and low frequency because of all the self sabotaging emotions. And if you flip that to a person that is, despite anything going on with the body, filled with joy, filled with inspiration, and just love, because love is the heal, we are love fundamentally. You will see a difference in pain level. You will see a difference in motivation. You will see a difference in hope. And you will see a difference epigenetically. Our genes don't have to turn on to disease, but the chemicals that we create in our body, which is typically self sabotage, our inner environment as well as our outer environment, can then allow these protein receptors to turn on. Now, I don't want to get too scientific here, but so if for no other reason than to say, listen, I don't want epigenetically my cells to go by the wayside, let me try to focus on love and joy and inspiration. You're just going to feel better, you
Yes.
know?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I had somebody say to me, oh, maybe like 2 or 3 days ago, I was talking about still being on this crazy healing journey and, getting rid of the last of these toxins out of my body. And she said, you look so healthy, you glow, you radiate. And I hear that all the time. So people are like, you cannot be that sick when I was like really sick. But it is because, yes, when you just have this, I don't know, this mental mindset, this
Yeah,
approach to life,
it's
makes
amazing.
a huge difference for the
It
healing journey.
it makes, and what a lot of people don't know too is that when you can just fill your heart with love and really focus on that, our hearts physically do expand.
Yeah.
Like, so with self-sabotage, resentment, anger, fear, worry, our organs become atrophied. They're just not flowing in that free energy that we're created to be in. So when you feel that love and joy, we allow our hearts to actually physically open. And that, once that happens, we're walking around like, you can't phase me, cut me off a million times in traffic. I don't really care. Peace and love, It's like
Yes.
we're not so easily what's the word I'm looking for? A stick of dynamite.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. So now how do folks connect with you?
Well, I wrote a book, The Miracle of You by Laura Shofroth, and that's easily accessible on Amazon or on my website, themiracleofyou.info. And you can find me on Facebook, Laura Shofroth, The Miracle of You, Health and Body. What is the name? My gosh.
Hold on, I
Laura
wrote it down.
Shofroth, Health and Body
Body
and
and mind
mind
transformation coach.
transformation coach. That's it. I have like 4 different Facebooks, so I forget. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. You can read my articles there. And you can email me at laurafamilyherbalist@gmail.com.
That's awesome. Now, do you do herbal work as
I
well?
actually am a certified master herbalist, and I'm a certified life coach, and I'm a holistic health and wellness consultant for over 20 years now. And I'm a certified food oracle deck card reader. So I can literally pull some really cool food oracle deck cards and tell you, hey, what is spirit telling me about what I need to eat for my health and happiness right now? So yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm so going to connect with you.
Yeah.
Yay. Oh, I love it.
Love it too.
I love the idea of just I tell friends and family and everyone listening in on the podcast uh that building our coping skills toolbox, but I like to think of it as more than just coping skills, like just building our life toolbox,
It
our joy
is.
toolbox.
It
And
is.
so it's wonderful to just be open to the possibilities.
Yes.
And what a gift you are giving others by allowing them to be open to the beautiful possibility of healing, because it's just a gift beyond value.
It is. It really is a gift beyond. And I tell people all the time, we sometimes don't appreciate it until first we've been sick. And so, as hard as it may seem to listen or hear, I'm thankful for the illness, the imbalances that I went through. I had the frustration, I had all the worry, the fear, the hopelessness. So having been there, I understand deeply what everybody can feel like. And we can then value, like you said, and become more open when that happens, hopefully, to more ways of healing and more opportunities. It's not just, I'm not against conventional medicine. It's just one piece of the puzzle. And it's great for sewing an arm on, not so great for chronic illness, because
Yeah,
chronic illness typically has an emotional component to it. And that's something that most doctors do not address. And
absolutely.
that's why we're here having all of these tools in our toolbox. It's
Right.
like, wait, we can also do this.
Yes, a previous podcast guest have once called it complementary healing
Yeah.
tools and modalities, and I loved that idea of, because you're right, the emotional component so many times tied to trauma.
Yes.
Um, Yeah, and if
Yes.
you haven't done the trauma healing work, it is going to show up in chronic ways. I mean, ACEs science, which was what I study in adverse childhood experiences. I mean, ACEs science shows that if you have 4 or more ACEs, that the numbers just jump drastically for heart disease, diabetes,
Totally.
depression, suicide. I mean, it's amazing if you haven't done the healing work for childhood trauma.
Yes. And I also, let me say this, if you would have spoke to me about addressing childhood trauma years ago, I would have thought it would be a big, sticky, icky, gross, long-term and dramatic experience, not a good experience. When in actuality, it's a lot of times not that difficult. It takes a bit of courage, but more than courage, it takes openness, like you said. And it doesn't have to be the icky, sticky, dramatic, long, drawn out experience. I literally had a healer work with me in a past life regression, and in an hour, I addressed a long-term trauma response in an hour. I mean, so this is the beautiful work of anybody in the esoteric or holistic world that have healing capabilities, which, by the way, everybody's a healer. They just need to awaken to their specific gifts, but they can help us along in ways that are not icky sticky, and
I
that's what I
love
love.
that. Yes, yes. And what
Mhm.
popped into my head was, and by doing our healing work, we are healing those behind us and those
Hmm.
in front of us. So our children,
Absolutely.
but also our ancestors. I know my mom, and just she's 86, but she's 4 years sober with one fall off the wagon. But I never thought she'd be
Wow.
able to do healing work. But her witnessing my doing my healing journey and then being able to do forgiveness work with her, and wow, I mean, our relationship has just blossom and grown, and I'm
Wow.
just so darn proud of her for her
Wow.
being able to address her childhood traumas at 80 something years old.
Isn't that beautiful? Like, we should never lose hope for anybody. That's such a false belief system that somebody would never change or could never change.
Absolutely.
And there's so much truth to that. Is when we heal ourselves, we heal the whole collective, one step at a time. And we do because our frequencies are so attached to everything else. So yes, 20 years ago I would have said huh, and now I'm like,
Right.
oh, but it's true, but it's so true.
Yes, for sure. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I could sit and talk to you for, we could do a whole series.
Yeah.
So anything else that you wanted to address before we close out?
um no, I think, my message, my legacy is to give back to people the knowledge that they can be empowered to heal, and to not be limited by what we've been told or taught or know of, that there's so much besides conventional medicine. There's so much that is available to people. And it's all tied together, the body and the mind. If you're depressed, it could be because you're deficient in minerals, it could be circumstantial, it could be a whole different million different things. But really letting go of limited beliefs and taking the courage to go out and find and be open to different ways of learning and experiencing. And if I can tell a quick story and analogy that I give my clients all the time when they first come on board with me, but it's so cute. I always say, okay, imagine with me that you're a little fishy, and you, as a little fishy, are swimming in an ocean with 9 billion other fish. But you, as a smart little fishy, realize, man, a lot of these fishies, their scales are falling off and their fins aren't working and they're not able to breathe that well. And my fishy eyes can't see through the murkiness of the water that well. So you, being a smart fishy, decide, oh gosh, I think I have to swim upstream away from the 9 billion other fishy, because there's a fresh body of water upstream that in it you will be able to breathe better and swim better and experience your fishy life better. So you take that courage and you take that power and you do swim away from the masses, and you get in that fresh body of water, and guess what happens? Your scales grow back and you can see clearer through the water, and your eyes are better and your fins are working, and you see all these attractive other fishies doing the same thing. And that's the switch that I want people to get when they come on board, is we cannot be like everybody else and accept the same limiting beliefs while we lose our health. We must be empowered to swim upstream and find the life, the abundant life and joy that we were created for.
Do you see the tears in my eyes? Holy moly, Laura.
That story's in my book. That
Oh
cute
my
little
gosh.
analogy.
Wow. That's so, I mean, you just spoke to me on a soul level. Like, that was really awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you. What a beautiful way to end our
Yes,
conversation.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Well, thank you for
awesome.
having me. It's been an honor. I love you already too. So we'll have to chat another time when you've got time, and yeah, get to know each other better.
Oh, for sure. I feel so blessed to meet you, and thank you
Thank you.
for joining me on this series. So, all right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us today on the Healing Place podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.
Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock again. Just wanted to thank you for listening to the episode today. And remind you to visit my website as well as the academy.teriwellbrock.com for the courses. But if you go to my website, teriwellbrock.com, you can sign up for my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, which is also jam-packed with information and strategies and blog pieces and guest blog pieces and links to shows, and just a great space for, again, healing. Thanks for, again, being here and being a part of this healing space. I very much appreciate you. All right.